The mysterious woman in the trash bin. It was a cold and quiet night in the city. Most people were inside their warm homes. The streets were almost empty. Only a few cars passed by. Streetlights glowed softly, casting long shadows. A young man named Ray was walking home from work. He worked late shifts at a small diner. He was tired, but his mind was busy. Life had been hard lately. He had lost his parents 2 years ago and lived alone in a small apartment. As he turned the corner near the alley behind his building, he saw something strange. A figure was bent over a trash bin. It looked like a woman. She wore dirty clothes and had a scarf covering her head. Her hands were searching through the garbage slowly, carefully, as if she was looking for something specific. Ray stopped. It wasn't normal to see someone here at this hour, digging through trash. He took a few steps closer. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked gently. The woman froze. Slowly, she turned her head. Her eyes met his. They were wide, glowing. A little, not like human eyes. Ray felt a chill run down his spine, but he stayed calm. She looked scared, then hungry. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "Are you hungry?" The woman didn't answer. She looked at the food scraps in her hands, half-eaten bread, an old sandwich. She looked ashamed. Ray took off his jacket and stepped forward. "Here, it's cold. Take this." She stared at him. After a few seconds, she slowly reached out and took the jacket. Her fingers were long and thin, too long. Ray noticed something else. Her skin had a slight shimmer, like soft silver dust on it. He blinked. Maybe he was just tired. "You don't have to be out here. You can come with me," he offered. "I have food. You can clean up and rest. No one will bother you." Still no answer. But the woman nodded. Slowly, Ray led her to his apartment. It was small but warm. He gave her some soup and bread. She ate quickly, like she hadn't eaten in days. He watched her quietly. She didn't speak. She kept looking around the room, especially at the windows, like she was afraid someone might come. "What's your name?" Ray asked. She looked at him, confused. "Name?" she repeated slowly. Her voice was soft, almost musical, like a whisper and echo mixed together. "Yes, your name?" She paused, then shook her head. "No name." Ray felt more curious now. She didn't speak much English. She didn't act like a homeless person. There was something different about her. Something not human. She finished the food and looked at him again. "Safe here?" she asked slowly. "Yes," Ray nodded. "You're safe now." She smiled a little. It was the first time he saw emotion on her face. But her smile faded quickly. She stood up and walked to the window. She looked up at the night sky. "Are you running from someone?" he asked. She turned back to him. Her glowing eyes stared deeply into his. "They coming," she whispered. "They hunt." Ray's heartbeat quickened. "Who's coming?" he asked, standing up. She walked closer. She pulled something out from under her scarf. It looked like a small glowing stone, but it pulsed with light, like it was alive. Ray's eyes widened. He had never seen anything like it. "What is that?" he whispered. She looked out the window again. Not from here." And then she pointed to the sky. Ray's mind froze. He didn't know what to say. Just then, a soft hum filled the air, a vibration. The lights in the room flickered for a second. The woman turned her head fast. "They near," she said, almost to herself. Ray looked out the window. There was nothing. At first, just darkness. Then, a flash of red light moved across the sky. Ray backed away from the window. "What's going on?" The woman didn't answer. She stood still, her eyes fixed on the sky. Ray realized something now. This woman wasn't just poor or homeless. She wasn't even human. The room was quiet, but the silence felt heavy, like the air itself was listening. Ray stood by the window, his heart still racing from the red flash in the sky. He turned to the woman, who was now standing in the corner of the room, holding that strange glowing object in her hand. She hadn't said much since they arrived, but everything about her screamed a secret. Her eyes, too bright. Her skin, too smooth. Her presence, not normal. Ray took a slow breath. "You can stay here tonight," he said, trying to sound calm. "But if someone's after you, I need to know." The woman looked at him with her glowing eyes. She didn't blink much. It made him nervous. She tilted her head slightly. "Safe?" "Here?" Ray nodded. "Yes, but only if they don't find you." She stepped forward, gently placed the glowing stone on the table. The light dimmed as it touched the surface, as if it could feel something. "What is that?" Ray asked. She hesitated, then said softly, "Memory. Map. Signal." Ray blinked. "A map?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked over to the couch and sat down, still looking toward the window. Ray brought her a blanket. "You should rest," but she shook her head. "No sleep. Not safe." He didn't argue. He sat nearby, watching her carefully. A while, neither of them spoke. The only sound in the room was the quiet hum of the heater. Then something happened. The lights flickered again, very faintly. Ray stood up fast. She stood too. Outside, nothing. But he had a strange feeling, a pressure. Like something was nearby but not visible. The woman whispered, "They are close." Ray's voice dropped. "Who are they?" She touched her scarf, pulling it back slowly. Ray's eyes widened. Her ears were long and pointed. Her skin glowed faintly under the dim light, and on the side of her neck, small silver lines like natural circuits pulsed softly. You're not human," Ray said in a whisper. She didn't speak. She simply stared at him, waiting to see if he would panic, run, call someone. But Ray didn't move. "I won't hurt you," he said. "I just want to understand." She looked surprised. No fear in his eyes, no anger. Only curiosity and care. "I fell. Ship broke," she said slowly. "People caught me, locked me, tested me." Ray sat down again slowly. "You escaped," she nodded. "Many days. Hide, move, hungry." Ray felt his stomach tighten. "You've been hiding? Alone? Since the crash?" She nodded again. "No help, only fear." He looked down at the glowing object on the table. "And this? It's a map to home?" "Not home," she said. "To light. Beacon? A beacon?" She picked up the object again and pointed to the sky. "Send. Call. They come. Save me." Ray ran a hand through his hair. This was real, not a dream, not a movie. An actual alien was sitting in his living room, hiding from something or someone that was hunting her. "What happens if they find you?" he asked. Her voice dropped. "They erase." "Erase what?" She looked at him. "All." A deep silence followed those words. Just then, a sound, a click. Ray froze. The sound had come from the hallway. He walked quietly to the door and peeked through the peephole. Nothing. But the air outside was different now, like it was watching. He turned back to her. "You need to hide," she stood calmly. "They already?" "No." The lights flickered again. The glowing device in her hand pulsed faster. Ray grabbed his phone, but it had no signal. "No Wi-Fi. No network," he muttered. "That never happens here." She walked to the door, put her hand near it. Not touching, just sensing. Then, in a voice clearer than before, she said, "3 shadows. Black eyes, silent feet, cold breath." Ray stepped back. "What are you talking about?" "They do not knock," she said. "They come through walls." He stared at her. "I need to know your name," he whispered. She looked at him with sad eyes. No name left, only code. What code? She touched her chest gently. Zira, last of cell 9. Ray repeated it slowly. Zira. The lights blinked once, twice. Then total darkness. Everything went black. Then a soft hum began, like a machine charging up. Ray turned toward the window. Outside, just for a second. 3 floating shapes passed above the building. Silent, dark, watching. Zira didn't move. They're here, she whispered. Darkness filled the apartment. No light, no sound, no time to think. Ray stood still, barely breathing. The soft humming sound had stopped, but something was still out there, watching, waiting. Then the power came back. The lights flickered to life again, weak and pale. The heater buzzed. The hum was gone, but the fear stayed. Zira was standing by the window, perfectly still, like a statue of light and shadow. Her glowing eyes searched the sky. Ray finally spoke, his voice low. What were those things? Zira turned toward him. Slowly. Hunters. For you? She nodded. For my kind. Ray stared at her. You said they don't knock. They just come? Yes, she whispered. And if they find me, they will erase me. Ray sat down on the edge of the couch. He felt like his body was made of stone. He looked at her carefully, the sharp features, the silver shimmer on her skin. The way her voice felt like music. She wasn't human, but she wasn't evil either. He could feel it. Tell me everything, he said finally. From the beginning, I need to know. Zira sat across from him on the floor, cross-legged like a child. She placed the glowing stone, the beacon, between them. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. I was not meant to be here, she began. I came in a vessel, a ship, not to harm, but to observe. You were watching Earth? Yes, I was part of Cell 9, Peace Team. We study, not invade. Ray listened carefully. Her voice was clearer now. She was learning fast. We were above your sky, then something pulled us down. A weapon. We didn't see it coming. A weapon? Ray asked. From Earth? She looked away. Not sure. Maybe yes. Maybe. Something else. He leaned forward. What happened when you crashed? Zira's eyes dimmed. She touched the side of her face where a faint scar ran near her ear. I woke in a white room. Bright lights. Metal walls, wires, people, talking. Cold hands. No kindness. Ray's hands tightened. You were captured? Yes, I was alone. They took my beacon, my translator, my energy source. They called me. There was pain in her voice now. Even though her words were simple, Ray felt the weight of them. They tested me. Scanned me. Cut. Small. Watched my skin heal. Ray couldn't speak. He felt sick. How did you escape? He asked softly. Zira raised her hand. Showing the side of her palm, a small light blinked under the skin. Emergency switch. Only. Once in life, I used it. Everything turned off. I ran. And you've been hiding since then? Yes. Days. Nights. I forget. No food? No light. Only running. Ray shook his head slowly. That's why you were in the trash bin. She looked at him. I needed the beacon. I found it in a lab bin. Broken, but still alive. Ray looked at the glowing stone again. And that can call your people? She nodded. Yes, but only from far, high place. With no signal walls. Ray thought for a moment. Like a mountain? Yes. They sat in silence. Two strangers from different worlds, sharing fear, truth, and a mission. Zira broke the silence. You helped me. But now danger finds you too. Ray smiled weakly. Then I guess we're both running now. She tilted her head. Why help me? I am not your kind. Ray didn't answer for a moment. Then he said, "Because you were alone, cold, hurt. I couldn't just walk away." Zira looked at him. Her face softened. Then the beacon pulsed faster. Red light. Ray looked down. "Is that normal?" She grabbed it quickly. Her face turned serious. "They are tracking. They are near again." Ray stood up. "We can't stay here," she nodded. "We leave before they block signal." "Where can we go?" "High. Far?" "No cameras. No wires." "Then call home." Ray grabbed a backpack, stuffed it with food, water, and a flashlight. He handed her a coat. She slipped it on and pulled the hood low. Before leaving, Ray took one last look at his apartment. A simple, quiet life, gone now. Outside, the sky was still dark, but not silent. They moved through the shadows, careful, quiet, and as they disappeared into the night, neither of them noticed the tiny drone above the building. Blinking silently, watching, tracking, waiting, night, swallowed the city. It was colder now. The air had weight, like something was pressing against the world. Ray and Zira moved through the empty streets, keeping to the shadows. Streetlights buzzed above them, casting broken pools of light on the sidewalk. Zira walked like a ghost. Silent, alert, eyes scanning the sky. Ray carried the backpack. His heart was pounding, not from fear anymore, but from purpose. He was no longer just a man trying to help a stranger. Now, he was part of something bigger, something otherworldly. They crossed the train tracks behind the warehouse district, stepping over broken fences and rusted metal. "This way," Ray said, pointing to an old construction site beyond the fence. "Nobody goes there anymore. No cameras, no lights." Zira nodded. Her voice was quiet. "Good. Still air. Safe to stop. 4. Now." They slipped into a hollow space under the half-built structure. Just concrete and rebar. Cold, but hidden. Ray dropped the bag and sat down. "Do they know where we're going?" Zira placed the glowing beacon on the ground. It pulsed red, then yellow. "They guess, but I jam signal for now." She pressed her palm to the beacon, and the light dimmed. Ray looked at her. "They won't stop, will they?" Zira shook her head. "They never stop. I escaped the lab. That is, a fence." Ray leaned back against a wall. "I don't get it. You didn't do anything wrong. You crashed. They locked you up. How is that your fault?" She looked at him for a long time. Fear makes your kind blind, and blind things hurt what they do not understand. There was silence, and then a sound, faint, metallic. Not from hum-fum. The street. Above. Ray stood up fast. "Someone's here." Zira's eyes flashed blue for a moment. Machine, drone, small one. They both ducked behind a steel pillar. A buzzing sound moved above them like a flying bug, almost too soft to hear. Ray whispered, "Can you stop it?" Zira reached into her pocket and pulled out a tiny silver disc. She pressed it between her fingers. A spark lit in her hand. She tossed the disc upward. It hovered, then vanished. 1 second. 2. A faint pop in the air. The drone dropped from above, smoking. Ray blinked. "Whoa!" Zira grabbed the beacon. "Not enough. If one is here, others will come." Ray zipped up the bag. "There's a train tunnel a few blocks from here. Abandoned. Leads out of the city." She didn't ask questions. Just followed. They ran. Through streets no longer sleeping. Behind them, black vans began to appear. Quiet, no sirens, no lights. Only the soft rumble of engines. The hunters had arrived. Ray and Zira reached the edge of the tunnel just as the first van turned the corner. Inside the tunnel, it was pitch black. Their footsteps echoed like whispers. Ray turned on a flashlight. "This tunnel leads to the forest edge. There's a hill. Might be high enough for your beacon." Zira walked ahead, her glow faint in the dark. Yes, that will work. As they moved deeper, the sounds behind them faded, but only for a moment. Then, heavy boots. Voices. They had been followed. Ray turned to her. Keep moving, I'll slow them down. Zira grabbed his arm. No, together. But, she stepped closer. You helped me when I was nothing. I won't let you become nothing now. Ray nodded. Then let's run. They ran. Faster. The end of the tunnel came into view, moonlight peeking through broken bricks, but then, bang, a bright light exploded behind them. A flare. Voices shouted in a language Ray didn't understand. Weapons charged. Zira turned and lifted her hand. The beacon blinked. A shield of light burst from her palm, stopping the blast just in time. Ray pulled her forward. Come on. They reached the exit, a slope leading into a wide, silent forest. No lights, no city, just stars. And ahead, the hill. Ray pointed. There. Zira nodded and ran ahead. Ray followed, breath burning in his chest. They didn't stop until they reached the top. Zira placed the beacon on the ground. She pressed both hands to it. The sky opened above them. The stars flickered, and then a beam of light shot upward. Quiet but powerful, like a signal to the stars. Ray dropped to his knees, gasping. We did it, he said, but Zira wasn't smiling. She was staring at the forest below. Ray followed her gaze. Figures were moving between the trees. Dark, fast. Closing in, Zira whispered, We are not safe yet. The forest was breathing. Leaves rustled like whispers. Branches moved without wind. Somewhere deep in the dark, something was coming. Ray and Zira crouched at the top of the hill, the beacon still glowing beside them, now steady, now silent. The signal had been sent, but no help had come. Not yet. Zira's voice was calm, but her eyes told the truth. We must move again. Ray looked down the slope. Where? She pointed to a narrow path, hidden between trees. There is a place. Not far. Below ground. Old, broken, but useful. Ray followed without asking. They moved through the trees, quiet as breath. Behind them, the shadows grew larger. Ray didn't look back. He knew what followed now. After an hour, they reached a hill of rock and moss. It looked like nothing at all. Zira knelt down, brushed away leaves, and tapped her hand on the soil. A sharp click echoed. Then the ground shivered. A square door rose up. Metal, burned edges, marked with strange symbols. Ray stepped back. What is this? Zira stared at the door. The first place I escaped from. She entered. He followed. Inside, darkness, dust, the smell of metal and old fire. The underground corridor was narrow and slanted. Water dripped from cracks. Rusted machines lined the walls, broken screens flickering dim blue. This wasn't human built. Or at least, not completely. Ray whispered, This was a lab? Zira nodded. Hidden, stolen from others like me. They studied, copied, made tools they could not control. As they moved deeper, Ray saw writing, both English and alien symbols, scratched into the walls. One message stood out, Subject C9X, unstable. No human contact allowed. Ray turned to her. You were the subject? Zira didn't answer. She just walked into a side chamber and stopped. In the center was a chair. Not a normal one. It was wrapped in wires with metal arms like claws. A thick glass screen hovered above it, cracked but still glowing faintly. Next to it stood a large pod, like something out of a science fiction nightmare. Ray walked slowly around it. Scattered nearby were photos. Real paper photos. Most were burned, but some were still clear. Images of her, Zira, strapped down, wires in her arms, lights in her eyes. Ray felt his stomach twist. This is what they did to you? She stared at the chair. They wanted to learn, but not to understand, only to control. She touched the pod. The light inside blinked once and revealed something horrifying. A second figure. Thin, fragile, sleeping, or frozen. Another one like her. Ray backed up. Who is that? C9T, she whispered. My sister. Ray stepped closer to the pod. Is she alive? Not fully. Half energy. Half memory. I thought they destroyed her. Her voice trembled. Not fear, but something worse. Hope. Can you wake her? Zira closed her eyes, placed both hands on the glass, and whispered in her own language. The pod made a soft tone, a note that echoed like wind in a canyon. The figure inside stirred. The lights blinked faster. Then. Silence. No, Zara said. Softly. Power is low. I need the beacon. Ray pulled it from the bag and handed it to her. She placed it on the panel. The machine drank the energy, like a starved creature. Lights came to life. The pod glowed. The second figure slowly opened her eyes. Soft, silver, frightened. Zira spoke again. Gentle words. Ray didn't understand them, but he felt their meaning. The girl blinked. Her lips moved. Then she said, in slow English, Where am I? Zira held her hand. Safe. With me. But before the moment could settle, an alarm. A red light blinked near the ceiling. Then another. And another. They've found this place, Ray said, stepping back. Zira's face went cold. No more running, she said. We finish this. Ray looked confused. What do you mean? She turned toward the center console, a large circular table covered in dust. She blew across it. Underneath, a hologram activated a 3D map of Earth, and beneath it, something else. Hidden pathways. Satellite. Control. Energy networks. This place, she said, was not just a lab. It was a gate. Ray's voice was barely a whisper. To what? Zira looked at him. To power, to truth, to danger. Then the walls shook. From the hallway. Footsteps. Heavy ones. Close. Ray grabbed the backpack. Zira helped her sister stand. Door behind them opened. Blinding light poured in. A voice shouted, Target locked. Do not move. Ray turned, eyes wide. He had only one thought. This isn't just about saving her anymore. The blast door crashed open. Light exploded into the hidden chamber. Voices filled the air. Sharp, commanding. Target identified. Engage with force. Ray didn't move. His heart slammed in his chest like a hammer. He stood between the hunters and Zira, between violence and something worth saving. 3 figures entered. Men in black armor, no faces, only red visors. Weapons ready, behind them. A 4th shadow stepped in, slower, colder. Not human. Ray felt it. The air bent around that figure. Something old. Something wrong. Zira stepped forward, holding her sister's hand. No more cages, she said softly. No more needles. No more pain. The lead hunter raised his weapon. You are not allowed to speak. But she didn't stop. She placed the beacon on the floor. It lit up, brighter than before. Ray reached for the old lab console. Can we shut the doors again? Zira shook her head. No time. She handed Ray something, a small silver ring, a piece of tech. Put it in your ear. Ray hesitated. Then obeyed. Click. Suddenly, the world changed. He could hear her thoughts, her voice in his mind. You must hold them. Just long enough. Ray turned, stood tall. He grabbed a pipe from the ground. Old, heavy, not a weapon. But better than nothing. The first hunter moved fast, straight toward Zira. Ray didn't think. He stepped in the way. Crack. The pipe hit. Armor. No effect. The hunter shoved Ray hard. He flew back, hit the wall. Pain screamed through his ribs. Zira raised her hand. Energy exploded from her palm. Blue light, wild and burning. The first hunter fell back, smoking, but the second fired. A net of electric wire hit her side. She screamed but stayed standing. Her sister cried out. Collapsing. Ray crawled toward them, dragging his body. You're not taking them. He shouted. The third hunter raised his weapon. Then something strange happened. The lab answered. The beacon pulsed, and the walls reacted. Old machines woke up. Sparks danced across the ceiling. A voice echoed. Not human. Not robotic. Something ancient. Cell 9 protocol unlocked. Power override initiated. Zira looked at the beacon. It remembers us, she whispered. Ray reached her. What does that mean? It means we have one chance. She took the beacon in both hands. The room began to shake. The floor cracked. From the ceiling, beams of light poured down. The third hunter fired again, but his weapon turned to dust. Mid-air. The lab was protecting her now. The dark figure behind the hunters finally stepped forward. It wasn't wearing armor. It had no mouth. Its eyes were empty. Sockets, but they glowed red. Not machine. Not human. A weapon made of fear. Zira's voice shook. They made it from us, a shadow of my kind. No soul, no pain. Only control. The thing lifted its hand, and the light began to die. The beacon dimmed. Zira collapsed. Ray grabbed it, held it tight. Tell me what to do, he shouted. In his mind, her voice weak. Give it your will. Ray closed his eyes and spoke not with words, but with heart. Protect her. Save her. Save us all. The beacon responded. It exploded with light, not fire, not sound, just pure force. Everything went white. When the light faded, the hunters were gone. The dark figure was broken, half melted, twitching on the floor. The lab was still. Quiet. Breathing. Ray was on his knees, smoke rising from his jacket. Zira was beside him, her sister safe in her arms. He looked around. What happened? Zira smiled faintly. You gave the lab a reason, and it chose life. Ray laughed once, dry and weak. I'm not even sure what that means. She touched his shoulder. It means we are not alone anymore. Then the ceiling cracked. Above, not the night sky, but stars. Real ones. Moving. A portal was opening. Is that your people? Ray asked. Zira nodded. They heard the signal. They are coming. But her face was still troubled. Ray noticed. What's wrong? She looked down. My body cannot go. Too damaged. Too connected now. No, we came this far. You must take her, she said, pointing to her sister. Help her find the ship. I will hold this place. Ray stood. I'm not leaving you. You must, she said gently. This is your world now, too. And you are not nothing. Tears burned his eyes. He didn't care. I'll come back, he whispered. I swear. She smiled, full of light and pain. I will wait. The ground shook again. The portal widened. Ray lifted Zira's sister into his arms. As he turned to leave, he looked back. Zira stood tall, hair glowing, arms out, beacon floating above her head like a sun. Behind her, the shadows began to rise again. But she didn't move. She would fight or die. For them. The forest was burning with light. Ray ran through the trees, branches slashing his arms, his lungs fighting for breath. In his arms, Zira's sister, pale, silent, eyes wide open but filled with stars. Behind him, the hill exploded in color, not flames, but energy. The kind that didn't destroy, but changed. Above, the sky cracked. Not with thunder, but with arrival. 3 shapes moved across the clouds, silent, silver, like great birds. Built from crystal and memory. They came not with noise, but gravity. The world felt them. Ray reached the field beyond the forest, and then they descended. Not ships, not really. More like living machines, floating on light, shaped by thought. One of them opened. No door. Just an invitation. Zira's sister lifted her head. It's them. Ray nodded, still breathless. You're safe now. But she didn't move. She looked at him, then said something that stopped time. She's not coming, is she? Ray didn't answer, because he didn't know. He wanted to believe Zira had survived, that she had escaped that broken lab, that the beacon had saved her too, but the sky was quiet and she hadn't followed. The ship pulsed once. A soft hum, almost like a voice. Ray stepped forward, placed her gently inside. The ship accepted her, wrapped her in light. Before the ship rose, a panel slid open, revealing something small. A cube, smooth, metallic, warm to the touch. Gift. Ray took it. Suddenly, a voice filled his mind. Not hers, not entirely. A mix. Hers and something more. For what you gave, for what you risked. This is not goodbye. The ship rose slowly, higher and higher, then vanished into the clouds. Gone. Ray stood alone in the open field, holding the cube. The night was quiet again. No hunters. No weapons. Only wind. He walked back home, not to his apartment, but to a world that now felt too small. 1 month later, the world still didn't know that there were no news stories, no reports, no headlines, but Ray knew, and that was enough. He worked now as a teacher, quiet, unnoticed, but at night he studied the cube. It didn't glow. It didn't speak, but sometimes, when the moonlight touched it just right, he felt her, not in sound. In presence. She was out there, and she had not forgotten him. 1 year later, it was raining. Ray was locking up the school when his phone buzzed. No number. Just a message. Look up. He did. At first, only clouds. Then, a flicker of light. Then, a shape, not a ship. A shadow made of stars hovering above the city. Then gone. Ray smiled. No fear. No questions. Just truth. Ray places the cube on his shelf next to a photo of Earth. Taken from space. He whispers, still waiting for you. The cube glows once. Just once. Enough.